Hi, this is Evan, your host for Wine Couch TV. As we so often do, this week we're going to talk about two wines, the foods that go with them, and a little bit of information on the grape from which those wines are made. Our focus this week is on one of America's favorite grapes, Pinot Noir. Now, long before that movie Sideways came out and Miles started yakking about Pinot Noir and getting it into every American household, many people who are wine lovers have been enjoying this grape and its resultant wines for years, and for good reason. Ask many people what the most amazing wine they ever had in their life is. Chances are a number of them are going to tell you a Pinot Noir, whether it was from France, California, or somebody else. But it's a fickle grape, so if you ask those same people what's the worst wine they ever had in their life, they may also reply a Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is fickle, difficult, grows in only a handful of places, and as such tends to be very, very expensive. So if you don't know what you're doing with Pinot Noir, it can be a little bit of a crapshoot. But we've got a couple of wines today that I think you're going to really enjoy. So let's take a look at them. The first wine that we're going to talk about today is the Hills Pinot Noir. Beautiful quality of fruit. I don't actually spend a lot of time looking at Pinot Noir because it's genetically missing a couple of the pigment chromosomes that all of the other grapes have. So usually the color is not necessarily reflective of the wine quality. In fact, if you go to Burgundy, they oftentimes taste you out of cobalt blue or opaque glasses. I focus on the nose and the flavor. This wine has what I would expect in a Marlborough Pinot Noir. It's got a beautiful sort of cherry, bright cherry, raspberry sort of quality, an underlying hint of almost something slightly sagey or laurel, but beautiful, vibrant fruit, and a slightly Burgundian, old world style of nose. Not necessarily ultra earthy, but there's just the right amount of oak on this wine, which gives it a slightly smoky, little bit cocoa-like character, but again, perfectly in context and balance for its flavor. Let's give it a taste. Pinot Noirs in New Zealand are known for their acidity. This has a vibrant, almost electric level of acidity, which is important in a grape like Pinot Noir, which is a cool climate grape. So many Pinot Noirs today are getting a bit heavy, a bit alcoholic, and a bit clunky, and losing that elegance and vibrancy that this wine is all about. This particular wine from Wither Hills is demonstrative about that. What's also very Pinot-ish about it is the tannins are soft, gripping a little bit, but not too sandpapery and too astringent. The finish is very long, the wine is quite tasty, as we'll talk about food-wise in a few minutes, it's awfully good with food. The second one, here we have a really cool bottling. This is the Hartley-Ostini Hitching Post Pinot Noir, and this is their cork, what do they call it? Their Cork Dancer 6.1. Let's taste the wine. Rich, deep. This has sort of almost more of a black raspberry type character, almost more loganberryish, a little bit riper, not quite as sharp red cherry fruit that we had in that first wine from Marlborough, from Wither Hills. This has got a deeper, more pronounced nose. It has that very inherent spicy character that I look for in Pinot Noir, which is sort of somewhere between ginger, cinnamon, and that sort of sharper, tartar character of brown spice that you find, which is again very emblematic of the varietal that we talk about. Very, very good. A sweetness that's coming from obviously quality oak that lends a little bit of almost sort of a caramelly or brown sugar type character, which adds complexity to this wine. Now let's taste. This wine is richer, slightly more ample in the mouth than the first wine, very velvety, smooth flavor, but once again with tannins that are not too gripping, not too hard, and a very long, vibrant finish with ample acidity. Pinot Noir with food, what can I say about this grape? My good friend Jancis Robinson over in the UK calls Pinot Noir liquid chicken, and for a good reason. Find one, everybody's happy, and it goes just about with everything. I always tell people that it's harder to find a dish that Pinot Noir doesn't go with than to find a dish that Pinot Noir does go with. You can have it with salmon. In fact, it's religion up in Oregon to have salmon and Pinot Noir. You can have it with lamb. You can have it with turkey. You can have it with risotto. You can have it with just about anything. Pinot Noir is also very good on working with dishes that are a little bit more delicate. So if you have something more like rabbit or quail or Cornish hen that many other red wines would overpower, Pinot Noir can go extremely well with it. Pinot Noir also shows extremely well against ethnic type foods and Asian type foods, once again, as so many other grapes that we've talked about in previous episodes have done. So when you're trying to find one wine that's going to make everybody happy and it wants to be a red, Pinot Noir is a good way to go. Our wine word for the week, Wine Couch TV's wine word for the week this week is clones. Now, clones, what do I mean by that? No, we're not talking about the nose in the Woody Allen movie Sleeper, but clones actually refer to specific grape types. Pinot Noir, like Chardonnay, like Riesling, is a monovarietal wine, which is to say we don't blend it with other grapes to make it. But how do you achieve diversity in a single grape wine? Well, very much like us, you have brothers, sisters, distant cousins, relatives, all of which share the same family, but are all slightly different. If you look at your brother sometimes and wonder how you could be related to this person over a couple glasses of wine at the Thanksgiving Day table, that's the same family. So clones are simply variants, slightly deviant grapes that are related genetically to one another, but slightly different in sense, kind of like you, your brother, your sister. The difference between a clone and a selection is simply chosen from a vineyard and propagated in another vineyard, whereas a clone is selected, isolated, cleaned up, and then replanted and able to be sold to a lot of other people. A little bit complicated, but certainly a word that's going to enhance your wine vocabulary. Anyway, we're all out of time this week. Come back to us next week when we're going to be talking about Argentina, Asado, and that wonderful great Malbec. Until then, you take care.